So my name's Itza Sosa, and I work for Beasley Mitchell and Company. I am an auditor at Beasley Mitchell and Company. So I was actually born in Durango, Mexico, in a very, very small town. I did come to the U.S. when I was 8 years old, and I've been living in El Paso ever since. My parents actually wanted to come to El Paso for us. They wanted a better education for us. They wanted opportunities for their kids. So that was the main reason why we came to El Paso. So that way we could have better educational opportunities here. So in high school, I actually took three classes that I thought were very, very useful. I still remember lectures from those classes, and I still use the topics that we discussed. So the three classes were accounting. I took an accounting class in high school. I also took a class named financial literacy, which was more of day-to-day financial things that come up that you don't normally learn. And I also took a nutrition class, and that was very helpful as well. So, the main things that I remember from my accounting class was that we learned how to reconcile a bank account, which normally you don't learn anywhere else. So it was something very useful that I learned how to reconcile my own bank account when I was back in high school. Also, in my financial literacy class, we learned how to budget. We learned about a savings account. We learned how to invest money. So, those were all very, very useful topics in my life that to this date I still use the budgeting. I learned how to budget my expenses in college, so that was very helpful. And then in my nutrition class, I did learn about what was safe and what was not safe to do when cooking. I learned how to disinfect properly. So those were all skills that I learned when I took those classes that otherwise I would have had to learn on my own. So as an auditor, we review their financial information. So what we do is that we schedule a full week of what it's called field work, and we usually travel to the client's office to review all their physical documents on financial information. We do a lot of governmental audits, so that means we audit schools, cities, municipalities. So, for example, on a school, I'll go to a client's office, and before I even go to the client, I've already planned my audit. So I've already sent them a list of things that they have to have ready for me when I get there. So when I get there, I have the documents ready, and I'll review things such as payroll. I'll reperform the payroll to make sure that employees are being paid accurately. I'll also review any grants, any loans that the school may have, just to make sure that the payments are being done correctly and that the interest are booked correctly also. In the case of internal controls, we also review internal controls because that's also very important when it comes to accounting and keeping your books in a correct manner. So what I'll do is that I'll review that a check has been approved by someone with that authority, so that someone is just not writing a check and cashing it at the same time without approval of someone that knows that there's budget for that. So that's one of the internal controls that's an example of an internal control that we go over when we are at a client's. And some of these clients don't know that these controls need to be in place. So that's when my consulting part comes into place. So I'll advise the client that this is what it needs to be done and why it needs to be done. I think promotions are very important, but I'm also excited to be an expert in my job. So I've only been in public accounting for 2 years. I graduated college in the past 2 years. So I'm excited to become an expert. I see my manager, and I see the level of knowledge that she has in every aspect of the job. So that's what excites me. I just want to be able to answer every questions with no problem. I think it's very important that you choose a career that will not only make you money, but will make you happy. So if you're choosing something because you think you're going to be rich and make this a lot of money, then that's probably not the only reason that you should look at. Think about the long run. Will this make you happy in the long run? And why you're doing it. So that's a big advice that I have for young students, because I do remember money being an issue when I chose my career. I didn't want to choose something that wasn't going to pay well, but I also didn't want to choose something that was going to make me miserable.